Dalvin Cook landing spots, trade destinations, new team, new home, however you want to look at it. And I didn't go through actual trade packages here with this segment. I just strictly went through teams that I feel like are in a good enough position to warrant a running back of Dalvin Cook's pedigree, which there's 10 teams, by the way. Dalvin Cook has a very large market. I know a lot of people are going to have hiccups about his injuries and everything that comes forward with him. But realistically, Dalvin Cook will be a great option for a lot of teams in the league. Like I said, I have 10 of them. So here we go. Dalvin Cook landing spots. We heard that the Dolphins are a real possibility, and I believe that would be great. You talk about taking pressure off Tua, really giving him a surefire RB1. We've had the Matt Breidas, and I can't believe the Raheem Mostert, or not that I can't believe I couldn't remember. We've had the Matt Breidas and the Raheem Mosterts of the world being with the Miami Dolphins, but now Devon Achane is there. If they brought in Dalvin Cook along with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, that would be an absolutely disgusting offense. They already bring in Jalen Ramsey as well. So Dalvin Cook going to the Miami Dolphins, I think, would be a great landing spot. It gives Tua, again, that relief off of him. It gives Mike McDaniel another weapon, not only as a receiving back, but a guy that can split the tackles, a guy that can bounce outside, really a do-it-all running back in Dalvin Cook. Another landing spot is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. And as much as I didn't want to put the Chiefs on this list because, I know some people are going to be like, oh, Adam, they just, had Isaiah Pacheco and, he was a 7th-round running back and they were able to win the Super Bowl with him. So why would they go, get another running back? Hey, I totally feel that. I have a lot of respect for Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes was clearly comfortable enough with the roster that they had in order to win MVP and win the Super Bowl. Hate that they didn't pick up Clyde Edwards-Helaire 5th-year option. I just don't believe he, along with Mecole Hardman, were implemented well enough into the offense because they did have the likes of Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, other very reputable members and big minds and coaches that they were working with on the staff. But Dalvin Cook here would really lock the Chiefs in for another Super Bowl run. It would be absolutely unfair to have the reliability of Dalvin Cook behind Patrick Mahomes and at the disposal of Andy Reid. They do get Rashee Rice. It would be crazy if they were able to land D-Hop as well. I mean, this team would change overnight, I feel like, into overwhelming Super Bowl favorites, and anybody that wouldn't tell you that would be absolutely crazy. I know the AFC is going to get tougher, and it is. I don't do air quotes to be a smartass about it. It's just, I believe it's already gotten as tough as it will be for this year. And if the Chiefs make just that one move in Dalvin Cook, let alone two with D-Hop and Dalvin Cook, Lord have mercy. I don't know how you can't say that they'll be running back to the Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills, a team that has really needed an RB1 for a while. I know they brought in the likes of James Cook. I know they brought in the likes of Devin Singletary. And while those guys have been able to make some things happen in Buffalo, we know injuries have been a case. We know that not necessarily getting in the right running schemes have been the case. We know that the dependence of Josh Allen has been the case as well. So when you see Dalvin Cook coming in, and again, I understand about the injuries, but what Dalvin Cook will provide will be absolutely undeniable in a case that the way the Buffalo Bills need him. I mean, this takes pressure off Josh Allen. This gives, again, more disposal for Sean McDermott to have him at his disposal. Stephon Diggs will be able to be complemented by this because of a nice run game that will be immediately implemented in Buffalo. Dalvin Cook to Buffalo would also have people saying that this could feel like a surefire Super Bowl run team because of the dual threat of a James Cook and a Dalvin Cook. Didn't even think about that. Reuniting him with his brother in Buffalo would be absolutely insane. Now we're going to go on with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I almost wanted to leave them off as well, but the Bengals are a team that does have Joe Mixon. We know the NFL can be a league where you really do need a two, where you really do need a two running back room. And it's not necessarily that you need to have a running back tandem, but it does help. We saw when my Saints had Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. We saw when the 49ers had Tevin Coleman and Raheem Mostert. We saw when multiple teams were able to have multiple running backs, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. When you have a running back tandem, Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, it can really, really make you volatile. And you come in and put Dalvin Cook next to Joe Mixon. This might be one of the least favorable fits because Joe Mixon really still is in that RB1 role. But Dalvin Cook to the Bengals, I think would be a fantastic move. Again, pressure off Joe Burrow. Zach Taylor gets that at his coaching disposal. The Bengals are already in a great spot. So Dalvin Cook would easily add to this. My New Orleans Saints, We don't know what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara this year. We know the suspension is coming. Mark Ingram, I believe, is still a free agent, and there's nobody else in the Saints running back room. Yes, they did just pay money to Michael Thomas. They did just pay money to Derek Carr. Might not have been the most favorable in both situations. I definitely wasn't a fan of both with the amounts and even with one player and Michael Thomas. Love you can guard Mike because you've been on the couch and on Twitter. Have all the respect for you, bro. But man, it's been tough not seeing you out there. And I realistically wish my Saints wouldn't have spent money on you, but it is what it is. Dalvin Cook going here would be a massive move for the New Orleans Saints. I'm not saying it would put them into Super Bowl runs. I'm not saying it would put them into, deep playoff runs. I do believe the Saints are built to make a deep playoff run, and Dalvin Cook would add to that, but I'm not saying just because of that addition that it would make them run that deep. But the New Orleans Saints putting in a bid or getting in the sweepstakes for Dalvin Cook would be absolutely phenomenal and would add so much to that team. The Denver Broncos, they do have Javonte Williams. They do have some other running backs in the room as well over in Denver. Put Dalvin Cook behind Russell Wilson at the disposal of Sean Payton. There's no frowns about that. The Jets, after making splash moves for Aaron Rodgers, getting some of Aaron Rodgers' wish list players, or he says it wasn't on the wish list, putting Dalvin Cook behind Aaron Rodgers, putting Dalvin Cook in that Jets offense. Again, the market here for Dalvin Cook is major. You're talking about Dalvin Cook going to all these teams, making them immediately better, immediately putting them in the playoffs if they weren't already, and the coaches that they would be at the disposal of outside of, probably, unfortunately, Dennis Allen and maybe Mike McCarthy. This guy would provide immediate value. The Jets, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, under Robert Saleh, Dalvin Cook would provide insane contribution. Browns as well, Nick Chubb and Dalvin Cook. Maybe that's another one that's not a super reasonable fit because Nick Chubb is definitely still in that running back one role. Dalvin Cook, I believe, comes into a room where he is getting 65 to 75% of the carries, but he does have another back, or however you want the numbers to work out. I know someone's going to be like, oh, Dalvin Cook only gets 54% of his carries. Whatever, right? Dalvin Cook is a running back one and is going to be a guy that needs to take most of the carries because he's got that pedigree of talent at his disposal. I would also say that Dalvin Cook would be reputable with the Dallas Cowboys as well. They do just let go of Ezekiel Elliott. Letting go of Ezekiel Elliott, was a reasonable move because he didn't do much after he had the injury, or excuse me, after he had the contract. That was major for him. That was major for the Cowboys. That was major for the fan base. That let a lot of people down. That immediately devalued the running back market. And that's why we have guys like Christian McCaffrey and Aaron Jones scraping up for, $12 to $15 million a year. And some guys requesting insane amounts of money for a running back position that are long, long gone and will not be paid for. But Dalvin Cook to the Cowboys, relief off Dak, might make Mike McCarthy better as a coach. Would just make the Cowboys as versatile as that offense is, along with the Browns, along with the Jets. I mean, all these teams, I expect the offense to be great. He would just add more versatility and immediate rushing attack. And then I'm going to finish it out with the Baltimore Ravens. I did say it was 10 NFL teams that Dalvin Cook could be open to. Dalvin Cook has a market. And I don't know exactly what's going on with Dalvin Cook and the Vikings. I don't know if it's money. I couldn't dig deep enough to find the true reason of why they're actually going to be moving on from him. I'm sure it was there, but I couldn't find it. But Dalvin Cook to the Baltimore Ravens. And J.K. Dobbins, as much as he is at our RB1, and he's in that role pretty well, Dalvin Cook coming in could maybe slide J.K. Dobbins to that RB2 role. And he could still be a rusher that had 700-800 yards. Maybe Dalvin Cook can slide into that RB2 role. Not really sure. Maybe this is another team where it's not a super comfortable fit, but they would, and he would, Dalvin Cook provide value, take that pressure off Lamar Jackson. John Harbaugh would have plenty of fun with him. Good offensive line. All of these teams here, for the most part, have solid offensive lines. So the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, the Saints, the Broncos, the Jets, the Browns, the Cowboys, and the Ravens are all possible landing spots for Dalvin Cook, with apparently the Dolphins being a real possibility. We've heard about Dalvin Cook going to other places for, I think, a couple weeks, couple months now. We saw Adam Thielen get out of town. Of course, they turn around and draft Jordan Addison, which I think is a great addition. Kirk Cousins is going to be very comfortable with him. Basically gets another Justin Jefferson alongside him. So kind of crazy how all that can play out. But Vikings fans of any team that I just mentioned that Dalvin Cook can go to, get in the comments, get in the chat. Let me know what you think about this actually playing out. I can't wait to see where Dalvin Cook goes. I'd love for him to stay in Minnesota. I'd love for him to come to the Saints. If he goes to a team like the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, maybe the Broncos or the Jets, somehow ends up with the Browns, maybe I'll name all 10 teams off again. I can't wait to see where he plays because he's going to provide immediate value and really elevate that team.